Matt Meehan here for IrishBoxing.com. A successful show, Jason. Shield Sports is back in Donegal, which is great. The Rumble in the Hill show. First off, congratulations on the kind of the running of the show. Yourself, Cliff, Shield Sports. Kind of, I forget to name everyone. So kind of really everyone at Shield Sports. First off, congratulations. How's things going?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great show, great success, a great turnout, great atmosphere, some great fights, and yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing with it. Really excited, really happy the way everything went. Positive feedback from the fighters, positive feedback from the fans. So yeah, everything went really well. Now delighted with it, and looking forward to the future.
It was um it was a knockout performance or a knockout show. Tiernan Bradley, Eoghan Lavin, Tiernan Bradley, Rhys Owens, Kian Hedderman, and Jason Myers all getting stoppages. Was it really a factor of did you want that much knockouts, or did you all want the lads to bank the rounds?
Well, like some of the fighters on the show are my fighters and some of them aren't my fighters.
Yeah.
I was obviously promoting the show, so I was. Obviously I wanted the best fights possible and exciting, good fights. A few of the fights that I expected to go the distance actually didn't. Which is boxing. There's nothing you can do about that. The lads really showed up. The lads performed really, really well and had some great victories on the night. And you know, the show, I really want to highlight the talent that was on the show. Like, you look from the very first fight to the very last. You know, this wasn't called Rising Stars just for the sake of it. This was called Rising Stars because of the talent that is on the card. You look straight from the start to the very finish. Each fighter is undefeated, up and coming prospect. You could call Tiernan Bradley now maybe a challenger as well. He's at that stage of his career where he has fought for a title already. But you look at the rest of them and you look at the amateur background that they have, you look at the talent that they have. Every single one of them has been a national champion, has represented their country, and has done very, very well and have a decorative amateur career. That was all on show on one night
Yeah.
in Letterkenny and Rumble in the Hills, Rising Stars. So, like, the potential, the talent that was on the card, I'm absolutely delighted with it and really blown away by it. The way that they all came in, very professional, showed up, gave it their all, performed really, really well. And yeah, it was a great night of top class talent. Like you show me, more Irish talent on one other card. Like, do you know what I mean? Like
Mm.
every I'm so I'm so grateful for the fighters wanting to be on the card. I'm so grateful for the fighters being on the card. But like, look at the talent that was on that card. Like, you look at their background, you look at their potential, you look at, their skills and their decorative amateur career. I really believe that a lot of these fighters on the card is really going to go on and do massive things in boxing.
Am I right to say that nearly all of the lads on that card have represented this country in some way or have won a national title? Is that a
100%.
yeah?
They all have won national titles as an amateur. And I'm
Jim
near sure.
Donovan, Jason Keane, Danny, Reese, Tiernan, and Owen and
Yes.
Cam.
Yeah. There you go. Like,
Yeah.
and they've all been very successful as well. Not just one national title. I think they all have a couple of national titles between them. They have all represented their country, wore the Irish vest, and done really well for themselves. So yeah, look, I'm absolutely delighted with the skill, the talent that was on the card, and I think it puts a real stamp on the card itself and how it was run, the production of it, everything like that. I thought was great, and the feedback has been fantastic. Not only from the fighters themselves on the show and the setup and everything like that, but also from the punters, the paying fans that came in on the night as well, already asking, unbelievable night. Can't wait till it happens again.
Is the one, two questions. One, do you want more shows back in the Northwest? I think we're really seeing kind of a boom in boxing all around the country. Not even obviously, a few years ago it was just Dublin, and then it was maybe one show here and there. But the shows in Dublin, up the north, obviously Belfast is absolutely booming with Belfast boxing. We've seen Windsor Park, and I can name many others down south, with hopefully more shows coming back to the south of Limerick and possibly more. Waterford again, we've seen shows in Waterford. But Donegal has been, and obviously Galway there's been one or two cars there, but Donegal has been, it's been here and there, nip and tuck. When you think of Letterkenny, you don't think of professional boxing. You think of, I don't know, country music and Jason Quigley.
GA.
I don't know what else is up there, but yeah.
Yeah, like it's no, like it's definitely something that I want to continue. I definitely want to have more fights in the northwest of Ireland, not just Letterkenny, but up here in the northwest of Ireland. I really want to, the last show showed the appetite for the boxing in this part of the country, and yeah, without a doubt, we want to have more shows up here. We want to keep the boxing fans, the boxers, but not only that now, the new boxing fans that we have created, like the amount of people that came to that have never been to boxing, never imagined themselves going to boxing,
Mm.
and the messages getting back from them that can't believe that I enjoyed it as much as I did. That means the world, that's why you put on shows for people to enjoy it, for people to have fun, for people to give it absolutely everything, and for everybody to go home happy.
Like the start of the night it started off well. Tiana getting a win and kind of it looks like he was going to pick up momentum real quick, and then obviously a stoppage after, and things were going well. All in all, again, it was a great night. Like there's some great opposition there. Callum Bradley got a stoppage. Rhys Owens on his debut, third round stoppage. Danny Duffy with a point win. Kian Hedderman, Jason. Like all in all, like they were solid matchups that were made. It wasn't just a journeyman that's going to come in for one or two rounds and fall over. It was lads coming to win and lads to test these guys and to see where these guys are at in their professional careers.
Yeah, like the card itself was well matched. Like we obviously knew the home side was
Yeah,
favorite. Like, do you know what I mean? We knew that it could have easily have been a home side sweep, which
yeah,
it was. Um, but it wasn't sweeps in terms of knockover jobs. Although a lot of them did end in the first round, these were fights that, I think it was Owen Lavin's opponent, like, that round, that finished in the first round, but his opponent beat Walter Fury, beat two or three other good prospects
yeah,
coming through the ranks, and Owen got the job done there. Kian Hedderman's man was a durable operator that doesn't go down easy, but he did. Do you know, not didn't go down easy, he went down because of the talent that's on the card, and the talent of the fighters. Like Keane is a top class operator, sparred Joseph Parker, Ben Whittaker, Hamza Shiraz. Do you know what I mean? Like this is what I want to emphasize. Like the talent that was on this card, and people might not realize it right now, but the talent that was on this card, you will realize when you see these lads fighting and winning big titles down the line, because that was the caliber that was here on show in Rumble in the Hills Rising Stars. And the fights were great. Danny Duffy, I think, was fight of the night against Richard
yeah,
Starkey. A real entertaining fight. Starkey came to win. He really gave it his all from the very start. Walked into Blue Moon with the t-shirt of Ricky Hatton, for tribute. Like, started doing the worm at the end of the fight. Started taunting Danny throughout the fight. And Danny's fans were just going mental. Like, it
yeah.
was a real
They sound like
massive
football
atmosphere.
fans. They sound like soccer fans.
100%. It was top class. It really
Yeah,
was. And then you had Rhys Owens in there as well, making his pro debut. A massive turnout for him from Enniskillen and his surrounding areas. He had a clinical performance, boxed really, really well, done really, really good. And he's overcome that little hurdle now of making your pro debut and in front of a lot of fans and in front of a lot
yeah.
of pressure. And he passed that with flying colours. So look, it was fantastic wins for the fighters, and they have so much potential now and so much room for improvement and growth. and moving their way up the ladder and fighting for titles in the very near future.
Do we expect to see more sheer sports shows coming over here? Do we expect to see more of your management and obviously promoting shows? Like the question really is like, will there be more shows coming along the line?
Absolutely, 100%. Next year we want to have, ideally, I would love to have 4 shows next year. I would love to have 4 shows
All in
next year.
Letterkenny?
No, not all in Letterkenny.
Uh,
Definitely would like to have 2 in Letterkenny next year, and maybe 2 more in the northwest of Ireland or surrounding areas. Just got to go do the homework now, and have a look at venues, have a look at what fighters are close to there. They can sell tickets there. They can bring an atmosphere, can bring a buzz. But yeah, like absolutely, we really wanna hit the ground running next year and wanna put on some great shows and join the likes of Jamie Conlon, what he's doing, Neil Power what he's doing, Jay Byrne what he's doing. Really keep Irish boxing thriving now and going in the direction that it deserves to go.
um, Tiernan Bradley, good win, good win. Certain man who's in his weight division, who's also Irish, and another absolute crack of a domestic clash I think we could make. Well, not that we can make, because if saying we, that's including myself. I can't make the fight, but you know what I'm talking about. Sean McComb versus Tiernan Bradley versus Sean McComb, whatever way you want to slice it and cut it. Is that fight possible? Has been talked to GBM Sports? Any update on that at all whatsoever?
Yeah, it's definitely a fight that can happen. It's a fight that myself and Izzy has spoke about and potentially could do next year if both sides are 100% on board and want this fight. You know, I know of course Tiernan wants a fight. Sean has gone now and has a fight in Monte Carlo under a matchroom banner, which is great for him. Um, but I think that Sean is the type of person that doesn't shy away from fights and wants those dust ups, wants those wins because he has been struggling in the past to get these fights and to keep busy, to keep active. And I'm not saying that this is a keep busy, keep active fight, but I think that it's a great fight on paper between Sean McComb and Tiernan Bradley, two stylish fighters that like to you know, there's a little bit of razzmatazz with both fighters. And it'll be very interesting to see does their style of fights gel and match and does it make for a very interesting fight. But that fight is definitely something that can be done next year if both fighters are 100% on board and want to make it happen.
I heard that Eoghan Lavin was supposed to have a domestic opponent. Was it Dominic Donegan? I think was that in talks?
Not that I know of now. Not that I know of. I haven't heard anything on that. I know that.
Okay, so again, it's just something that I heard. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Obviously,
no,
we know now it's boxing and boxing in general. The rumor mill is goes at 100 miles an hour. People making fights that obviously some of them don't happen. So
yeah. Look, I think it's Dominic Donegan, hasn't had the best of records and hasn't had the best of fights in recent times and um of course it's always great to get a all domestic fight over the line and
mm.
happening. Um I think we would all know the winner of that fight, and I think Owen Lavin breezes to a victory in that fight. I can't see any kind of, just being honest, like I can't see any type of other outcome than
Mm.
Owen Lavin won, if not stoppage.
Was there any domestic clashes and all that you wanted to be made for this card, or was it kind of it's not now, but it's later on, hopefully, later on, as in the other shows, hopefully you'll get some on the card.
Yeah, I did. I wanted Cahill McLaughlin versus Dominic Donegan
Okay.
on this card. I think, Cahill's only 2-0. He was Irish senior champion, wouldn't have been as a decorative career as Owen Lavin or, you know, have that kind of backing that Owen would have had, training in the likes of the UK with Crawler and different things like that. Um, I thought that would have been a very good dust up, and I think the Callum would have won. if, or sorry, not Callum Cahill would have won if he had turned up and showed up and performed well. I think that it would have been a good, straightforward victory for Cahill. Um, but Dominic just has had other things going on and wanted to go in a different direction and a different route. And maybe that was the Owen Lavin fight. Maybe it's a bigger fight for him.
Yeah.
It's a bigger payday for him. I'm not too sure. As I said, I don't know the ins and outs of that fight.
Mm.
But domestic dust ups are always great. And for this show, of course, I would have loved to have had domestic dust ups and everything, but just as it was fallen and the way that other fighters were engaged in other fights, it just didn't make sense. But we got all the fighters' fights, we kept them busy, we kept them active, and next year we have a lot more time now to plan and to strategically place fights in there and exciting fights and hopefully title fights.
Any fights that you're looking at in terms of ones that you want? Are you eyeing up anything that you're looking at like, listen, that actually looks nice, or are you go back to your matchmakers, or your matchmakers coming towards you is like, listen, that lad and that lad would be a great scrap.
Yeah, like, obviously I'm looking out for my own fighters and I'm looking at like Danny Duffy. I think Danny Duffy and Paul Luman down the line would be a
It's a
great
nice
fight
fight. It's a nice
for
fight.
a Celtic and Irish title fight. I think both of them are very talented boxers, very decorative as amateurs as well. Really nice, good young fellas also.
Mm.
I don't think you'll get much shit talk before the fight between them two, but very respectful, good fighters. I think that would be a cracking fight at some stage next year between Danny and Paul. You look at Kian Hedderman there now
Yeah.
as well, doing really, really well. I don't really know what weight is Podge Collins fighting at? Is he fighting a cruiserweight? Is he fighting at light
Cruiser,
heavy?
cruiser.
Yeah, like can he potentially come down to light heavy? I think it's very
Possibly.
possible for him. I think that that's a massive fight. Kean Hedderman and Podge Collins down the line would be a
Yeah.
good one for Celtic Irish titles. And then, you're looking at Rhys Owens there, um, just freshly into the boxing game right now, the pro side. Another couple of fights, I think he's right up there for any domestic dust ups and, to lift one or two titles and to move on even then into bigger titles. And I think all of them can, like I think that Danny Duffy's in a very exciting weight division where he can push on and move on and challenge for big titles down the line. Kian Hedderman, phenomenal talent, can push on, move on down the line for big titles and big fights in the future for him. And Rhys Owens, the very exact same. Like,
Daniel as well.
who's that?
Daniel Faccione.
Oh, Big Daniel, without a doubt. It's just, you know, who in Ireland is Daniel going to fight? You have
Yeah.
Thomas Carthy there. I think, Daniel needs a couple more fights before he gets on that level. Big Daniel's doing amazing work in with Niall Barrett now and, has been in camp with Joseph Parker as well, sparring with him and impressed with his sparring and the work that he's given Joseph. So, Daniel has a lot of potential. He has a good work rate and he's got a good attitude, which is very, very important. And I think that Daniel can make a bit of move and a bit of a wave in the heavyweight boxing game. Get him another maybe 4 or 5 fights over him next year, and see where he's at and push him forward then into big fights. And like all those fighters that I'm mentioning, I think they have a massive future, and I think they can go really far in this game. They're all talented, young, hungry fighters with loads of potential. And, you have the likes of Cahill McLaughlin there as well, who didn't obviously fight in this show. He started his own business and, had to concentrate on that. But, he's right there for any of the middleweights in Ireland, domestic dust up and, gets over that one, can potentially move on then into something even bigger as well.
Would it be a possibility that hopefully next year all of those lads could be on the same card together?
Absolutely, that would be the goal. That would be the ambition to do that is to have them all on a card, all fighting good performances, good victories,
Yeah.
and pushing themselves up the rankings, pushing themselves in the title contentions, and pushing themselves to changing their lives and making a massive career for themselves out of boxing.
just with Daniel, I'm very intrigued and interested. Obviously, there's little to no heavyweights as him and Thomas Carty, and obviously if you go back the years, there'd be Paddy Nevin as well. But he's obviously he's unfortunately he's no longer fighting. He's obviously with his other job. Like, how would you move a heavyweight like him in the correct way, if you get me?
I think for any young fighter, it doesn't have to be young, but any new professional, like I think the first 4 to 8 fights are vital for activity, consistency, learning, maturing, growing. I think that it's important for any new pro, any young pro, anybody that's starting out in the professional game is to just stay busy, stay active, stay in the gym, stay ready, and stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's what professional boxing early on in your career is all about because opportunities can creep up, can pop up just like that. And I think that it's very important for all these fighters to just keep in the gym, stay busy, stay ready, and the opportunities will come. And I plan to keep them very busy, potentially before the end of the year and throughout next year.
Nice. On that note, Jason, really appreciate it. Just one more thing, I had an idea. Your next show, you're the way in the NFL to have the halftime show, and I was thinking, listen, a dartboard, a hockey, Meehan versus Quigley, three legs, see who's winning. Um, I think that'd be a great halftime show. Like the young up and coming darts player who plays every once in a while versus the seasoned 180. Listen, what do you think about that?
We could depend like if I have my next show within the next 5 years, you might be ready for me. But if
Right.
I don't
Okay.
have
Right.
my if I don't have my if I have my show in the next maybe like couple of months, if you want a whooping, I'll give you a whooping. Like I'm just saying, Matt, you know what I
I,
mean?
I, I'd be well appreciated, okay? I'd be well
Okay then,
appreciated that.
okay. If you're happy to get an ass whooping on the dartboard, no problem. I'm down to do that, not a worry.
We could do half darts, half boxing, so you could whoop me. Yeah.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But we definitely got to get a game of art soon before
No,
you.
but darts on the point, Jason. A bit of food after.
Absolutely,
No, but
absolutely.
really
No problem.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.